here at the conference. Things are going okay.
Yeah, I really like the neuroscience meeting, and then in front of or head of neuroscience, you have additional workshops, and because essentially it's a big network, and I'm going to the SFN since 15 years roughly. So I made some friends, which I see just once a year, but when you see them for 15 years, once a year, they become friends. And so it's a meeting of friends and doing business and getting up on the latest status of research. And it's very busy because like nearly everybody is there. And that's the fantastic thing.
So you meet with the 100 friends that you haven't seen in 1 year.
Yeah.
Right? So it can be pretty crazy, I think.
That's right. And then it's from all kinds of fields. It's from basic science. It's from technological developments. And then there are other companies here with whom we have some collaborations. So sometimes I just meet people from Europe or even Germany, and then it's good that we finally meet again. Strange that we meet here in the U.S. in Washington, San Diego, or Chicago, but that's how it is, and that's part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and it's pretty cool though. Like there's a lot of cool stuff. This is my first FSFN actually, and
okay.
I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And
yeah,
it's really big and a lot of cool technology on display too. And you guys have some cool stuff. So Cortec is in Freiburg, Germany, which is in my opinion, the most beautiful city in Germany. I want to live there. But you guys make neural implants too, and maybe specialize more in soft neural implants, right?
I mean, essentially Cortec started 6 years ago, but we were already basing what we were doing on like 10 years of university development. And essentially we developed a completely new implant system. We call it the Cortec brain interchange. And it's a implant for application in humans to connect their brains with artificial intelligence.
Oh. Wow, that's incredible. So how does it work? Like, I mean, you need many channels to do this, right?
Right. So we took, although an approach that is realistic in the sense because the system is actually there. So here's the device, the implantable part. So essentially you have electrodes. So these are very soft ECOG electrodes that have been developed by us. And the nice thing is that everything of our implant, also including, maybe it's better to have a white background. So it's probably some fine structures, but I could maybe send you some pictures if you want. But, so the point is that they are from established biocompatible materials and they are long-term reliable, but we've got a new manufacturing process. Using some laser cutting technologies to make the structures much finer and produce them very reliable. And then we have interconnection technology. So not included here is a high channel implantable connector. Then we have a high channel hermetic encapsulation newly developed by us. That's a ceramic encapsulation here. So inside the ceramics is novel implantable electronics. And then we have a wireless power supply through this gold coil here. And we have wireless communication through this hermetic encapsulation. So that's the nice thing with the ceramics. So there's electromagnetic fields can go through it. And then what obviously is not here, but it could be in here, everybody knows these devices, is our modular software capable of integrating high-dimensional and multi-dimensional information to control the device. Yeah, so...
Wow, lots of cool stuff.
But in essence, it's a novel high-channel implant system, whereas high-channel is, in this case, it's 32 for the first version. I mean, there are higher channel versions in the planning, but at one point we have to make a design freeze and do all the testings in order to get it human ready. I mean, if it were for our engineers, they'd probably continue developing. There's a novel ASIC now. We got 128 channels. Let's build it. But okay, then I would have to say no. Finally, we have to bring something out for human application.
Okay. So you guys are working on human approval, like FDA approval and like this?
Yeah, so the goal, sure. I mean, we tested, this is now the fifth version of the implant, and it has been tested in long-term animal studies, and now everything is done under design control with the appropriate testings, and it's nearly finished. And the goal is to make this available as a research platform for companies, but also clinicians and the research community to develop new applications.
Okay, very cool. And how long have you been able to keep this implanted? What's the record?
So in the sheep, it was limited by the ethics approval to about 1.5 years. So, but it showed very nice and stable results. And essentially, when we explanted it, it came out as new, and worked well. And then we do some accelerated aging testings, and they also look very good. And our approach was from the beginning to base this on materials and technologies that we are relatively sure can be used in humans. So it's not when compared to like the kernel and Neuralink and all these great new projects, but they are aiming for like the next generation. Where there are some technological hurdles still just not cleared. So, and we build a version based on technology that is working now. Okay,
very cool. And how many electrodes are there? How many simultaneous recordings can you do?
So in this first version here, we have 32 channels that you can freely select to either record or stimulate. So you can record and then later select by the external software you want to use it for stimulation or vice versa.
Okay. And these look like surface electrodes, right? I mean, you can only put it on the surface of it.
Right. I mean, you could connect other electrodes with it. Like this here, for example, is a cuff electrode that has been developed by us using the same materials and technology. Very large contacts, getting very, very good signals. So essentially, that depends on what our partners and customers want. There's also a connector we have developed, making this system connectable to DBS electrodes, like for Parkinson or so, that are there available on the market.
Okay. Wow. So very versatile. If a customer needs something, you can make it.
So the goal is to really have a versatile platform where you can use different types of electrodes. And essentially, we as a company are a partner for development from preclinics to clinics, and later on we can also do the manufacturing. And from the technology we have developed, we can do different modifications. So because essentially we are a technology company, so we can customize the technology to what our partners want.
Okay. I heard something once. I had a colleague or a classmate. He worked in a machine shop, and they were making like screws for medical purposes. And they were saying even for the different lengths of screws, they would have to get approval for each of these. So every time you make a new one of these, do you have to get approval for it, even if it's like the same thing but maybe just a different size? Right.
That is of course the regulatory rules that are tough. So what we try to do is when we get an approval. And when we do the appropriate testing and validations, we do a worst case design, like min-max approaches, so that with the validations, you cover as many possible configurations as are possible. But still, you're right. If someone wants an electrode or includes a modification, we'd have to redo maybe some documentation, some testing, and hand this into the FDA again. Yeah. So yeah, that's how the rules are. So the total flexibility is not there. But I think once you have the complete system approved and then you're implementing gradual changes, it becomes a bit more efficient and not taking as much time as like the 10 years we've been working on this now.
Oh, wow. 10 years. That's incredible. Wow. So are things different in Germany? Like, is it faster? What's the advantage of being in Germany?
That's a good question. I don't think that there are necessarily any advantages. In Freiburg, what is good, and probably also in Germany in general, is we have good qualified engineers that are learning, especially our technologies at university, and then we can get good educated and experienced people. And then there is a nice infrastructure environment we can leverage. To get funding maybe is a bit more difficult than in the US. So that would clearly more speak in favor of the US. But I'm pretty happy, and it's a central region in Europe, and Freiburg is a nice town. So, but I think what I also realized when being here at SFN, and in the essence that the neuroscience community is a global community, and I think I would feel at home essentially everywhere, right?
Okay. Next up, Botswana.
Yeah, they are maybe a bit behind in neuroscience, and probably they have more critical issues to work with.
Yeah. Okay. So what's next for Cortec? What plans, what things do you have coming up?
So the plan at the moment is getting an IDE for this device and also a local approval for clinical trials in Europe. And then based on that, get people using the device and investigating new applications. So, and next year there's another big milestone because our new clean room facilities are being set up, and so we'll have much more manufacturing space then available. And then there is a reference approval of our electrodes with the FDA underway. We have a lot of projects already for customers for whom we build implant components, and yeah, it's many work to do. So,
so when should we expect this AI integration that you were talking about?
So the AI integration starts once people use it chronically, and it could be animal or human. And then you need something to control the device. And so for the first time, you'll be gathering enormous amounts of data. So the device, when it records continuously from the 32 channels at 1 kilohertz, so there's a lot of data being collected. And for then getting the relevant information from this data, we need the AI. So it's too much for humans to handle. And the nice thing with our implant is that the whole processing is outside the implant. So we can use state-of-the-art AI algorithms to do all this processing. And then find out, for example, what specific stimulation when the patient needs, or the best way to control a prosthetics application. And so when next year, hopefully, the first patients are using the device, then it starts, and also the work for the AI has to begin. Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, very interesting stuff. I really like it. And you guys have some very soft and pliable materials. It's very nice. Is there anything that I didn't ask that I should have asked?
I don't know who's the audience of the blog, but obviously there might be people concerned on what is going to happen when we connect the human brain and artificial intelligence, and what are we going to make out of this? Is this just going to be used for therapies, or is it going to be used to enhance human capabilities? As Elon Musk said, we need to probably enhance ourselves to be able to compete with AI and not become, outmatched by them. So, and that's essentially a political debate. I mean, personally, I would say, or at least what we had in mind when we started Cortec, it's about helping patients. But it's a political debate that has to be led, and these are important decisions and debates that need to be held, I think.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I mean, honestly, it's still kind of far away, and it's still hard to imagine that we could be at that level. But when it comes, I mean, that's going to be such a fast change that we won't have time. So we won't have time to discuss all these things. So it'll be like almost like social media, like, oh, how is it affecting life? But talking about it in the 90s, and it's just like, what's that? And we don't know what it's going to do. And then now that we're in it, it's changed everything in the last few years.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of research still to be done. So as there have been no systems permanently connecting the human brain in a closed loop way to external devices or intelligence, so we don't know exactly how the brain will react if there's a continuous loop between AI and the brain, and the brain is has to learn, it will adapt to do something with this, and then the AI obviously is adaptive. So there are a lot of questions and things to be researched, and that's what we want to provide our system to do the research. And then what to do with it, we'll have to see. AI obviously is leading its way with Alexa and co being out there. And this is neuroscience, and the understanding of the brain is still lagging behind, I think, what currently AI already has achieved.
Interesting. I'm wondering too now, like if it's kind of like a Google, they almost gave away everything for free, but they just want the data. Do you think that could be useful as well? Like, just kind of give away, let people use the data for free, or let people, I don't know, train different algorithms on the data and improve the AI in this way, something like this?
Sure. I mean, the data that is then coming from the brain is just one other source of data, and we shouldn't overrate this data, because essentially what we are relaying from the brain is activity that is reflecting what we are doing in life, and how we are acting, how we are behaving. And this acting and behaving, that's already collected by AI, right? So the higher level outcome of the brain activity, that I think is the more relevant pieces that are already out there. So nonetheless, the brain data has a high value when it comes to therapies, and it might help to fine tune and know, when there might be a serious event happening like epilepsy, or sometimes the brain activity is faster than conscious. This is also known, so it could help people to react faster by having such devices, and maybe prevent some danger. So that there are a level of options, but the ethical implications of the AI that have an effect on our behavior and life, that's already happening, because, as I said, the outcome of the brain activity, like your behaviors, what you say, that's already going into AI, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So now if people come in, I'm scared that now my brain data is being collected somewhere, I say, well, what your brain data is about, like your actions, your behavior, that's already being collected. So there'll not be that much more relevant information.
That's just slightly more, but no, like less accurate data too, because it's like, oh, you think about a lot of things, or but you only do one thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I guess this is interesting that we've gotten on this idea or this topic of the ethics. What about bioelectronic medicine, like organ control and organ sensing, and I don't know, like basically taking advantage of the millions of medical devices you already have in your body, nerves and organs and everything like this, the sensors. What about the ethics of this?
I think it's probably ethically not as critical or even less critical than being in the central brain, because here it's not so much about thoughts, but really about organ functions and how to address them. So this is a nerve cuff electrode here and connected to our system. So one could research now improved therapies based on the bioelectronics medicine concept, like knowing, okay, when to apply a specific stimulation to an organ. And I think this has a huge potential for delivering very precise medicine with a minimization of side effects as compared to when you take a pill that is taking effect in your whole body. So technologically,
AI controlling this.
Yeah, but I mean, sure. The challenge is that we remain in control of what the AI is doing. So, I mean, in the end, AI is programmed by humans, and we have to determine the way it evolves and what it can do and what not. So, but at least there, the AI is controlling your organs, and then it's not controlling your brain, which is not that easy, by the way, because the brain has billions of nerve cells, and currently I don't see any method of controlling all these nerve cells. You can just have some connection at one spot that's probably damaged and needs repair, and there we are going to connect to.
Okay, interesting. Cool. Well, so it sounds like a message of hope. Like it's not going to be so bad. We're going to be in control.
That's a political challenge, to stay in control,
okay.
in control of AI, but it's human-made, and essentially the hope is for new and better therapies, and then there's the question of human enhancement, obviously, and that's something. It's political, but it shouldn't be overrated. I mean, because these devices are very complex, they'll be expensive, and even what I have here, this is also a prosthesis. Yeah, it's doing enhancement. Yeah.
Also
nobody cares.
Expensive.
I mean, well, no. Yeah, but so, and there are a lot of things we are already using. They're enhancing us. This is modifying my brain activity, of course, when I put it on. So, and if you use an implant, okay, you have a more direct access, but it's not something that is radically different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not completely different. It's just a, enhancement of what already exists.
Yeah, and it's a new step, and there are already devices out there. So, like, I think the best example are the cochlear implants that are used, especially in children who are born deaf. And meanwhile, these devices are that good that children who are born deaf, they can go to school and lead a largely normal life.
Yeah, incredible stuff. So it's going to be an exciting next few years, huh?
Definitely, yes.
Definitely. Okay. Thank you so much for the interview. This has been very cool.
Thank you, Leonard.